All right, folks, let's go on with our next story. You know, whereas many centers lost their cool, the situation in the confluent state of Kogi remains calm. Major roads in the capital, Lokoja, were deserted, just as commuters and private vehicles were off the streets. Although heavy security presence was recorded at government facilities, courts, and the state government secretariat, we can tell you that banks and government offices remained shut as workers decidedly stayed away. Now, traders across the state became cautious as they expect a let-up in the frenzied atmosphere.
Yeah, it's like...
Are you surprised Kogi has decided to go it?
No, I'm not surprised.
Okay.
Why I'm not surprised, I'll tell you. Kogi used to be a very, very, very crazy place.
Okay.
Where kidnappings and killings was just rampant. So, whether you like him or not, that is one of the things you have to give to Yahya Bello.
Okay.
Yahya Bello was able to put in place a security architecture that reduced crime significantly in Kogi State. You have to give that to him. And I'm sure maybe the present governor, although is also maybe I'll be using the same template.
Okay.
The security station, they will be able to put in a security architecture that reduces crime. So I'm not surprised that when in this protest, people will just decide to say, okay, let's stay at home, like some other states.
I think that Kogi is contiguous to about 9-10 states.
Yes, that's why I said, that is why at the time it used to be terrible kidnapping. I remember one time like that, I went for one event there. They told me that, look, you cannot step into Kogi without security. And I have to go with security and all that. So I know the state. I remember that a top journalist who was told me that, look, 6 o'clock, he has to be in his house, that the state is not safe. But over time, Yahya Bello has been able to reduce the level of crime in that state. So I'm not too surprised that people just decided to stay at home, which means that
is building on
I'm building on that same template. So I'm not too surprised that they are not, because security-wise, maybe they've done the needful. And then we have to commend them, because if the people decide, yes, if the shops and banks close, the same thing happened in Lagos, happen everywhere, because people are not sure what will happen. But that we didn't have the kind of incident that was happening just around them, in Kano, in Katsina, in other places, we have to commend them for that.
It's a plus.
Yes, we have to commend them for that.
Busy, I know the fear is not there of visiting a place like Kogi at a time like this. If you see what I mean.
I will still go back to what I said earlier on.
Okay, then.
About state governments, their activities, the impact of their activities on the citizenry. I want to believe that beyond all the things that Mayor has said here, I also want to think that the people themselves, there is an atmosphere between the government and the people made it possible for them not to go on the streets. For example, even the story that was shared about Kogi State being calm, the people that were interviewed agreed to the fact that there is hunger in the country. They also admitted the fact that government should do something about the sufferings of the people. However, they think that many of them, they get, their daily things from going to the market on daily basis. And the fact that that state is able to provide a conducive environment for the people that want to do their mini businesses to go about doing it.
Look at the footage, there's calm, relative calm.
So it shows that at least
people are not milling around.
Exactly. It shows that, because these security operatives are everywhere across the country. And there are places they are where there are still protests. In Abuja, for example, tear gas was fired. And they still they reassembled after some time. But that is not happening here. It shows you that somehow they have the confidence. They have that confidence that everything was going to be calm. That was why those who could go out were going out and all of that. So I still take it to be that engagement between the government and the probably the major voices in Kogi State. It could be through the Market Association, it could be through anything, but I think there is a kind of engagement.
You talked about the elite. The
elite in this case now, if the government is able to preempt, who are the elite? Even this government, the government in the state, they are part of the elite. If they are able, in their own wisdom, to engage the populace, and they are able to persuade them not to go on protest, and they assure them that, look, things are okay, we are doing this, we are doing that, and they are able to persuade them, well, it definitely works for them.
Mayor Thomas Paine, one of the founding fathers of the USA, said, these are times that try men's souls.
Oh, yes, because I acknowledge that things have never been this tough. Things are really tough. Things are really tough. But what I used to tell people is that we have, all of us collectively, contributed to what we are suffering. All of us collectively. Our case is like somebody that kept going to Yasikira and was eating on credit, and kept eating on credit. And then he got to a stage, Yasikira said, no, I cannot sell to you again. Enough. I can't sell to you again credit. And then the man got home. He didn't have money again he can't bring food for his family. You understand? There's no credit anywhere. Things are becoming difficult for everybody. His kids are hungry. And there's problem within his household.
The truth was staring everybody in the face.
Yes. And because you see, so it will be unfair for us to think that the problems that all of us collectively, either by act of omission or commission, contributed to, will be resolved in 1 year. So we have to know that we must still endure a little bit more. Because the quantum of the problem that we had cannot be solved in 1 year. But when you have a government that sold your crude oil in advance, collected the money, and already spent the money of the crude that you are going to produce, that you have not even produced, so they are going to produce in months to come. He has already collected that money.
Mortgaging your
future. Collected that money and spent it. A government that borrowed money from everywhere, kept borrowing money to do everything, including paying salaries. A government that printed trillions in ways and means. When you do things like that, it will come back to hurt you.
Mayor, but you remember former late President Ronald Reagan of the U.S. said, we are not seeking a Republican answer or Democratic answer. We are seeking an American answer to an American problem. So
that's the same thing that we have now. That is why everybody has to realize that things are very difficult. Already,
in other words,
part of the problem I have with Nigerian politicians, some of them have started preparing for 2027. Part of this problem has to do with 2027. Our problem, we don't even know whether we are going to survive till 2027. So let us collectively, whether you are APC or PDP or opposition or whatever, realize that we have problems and that it's going to be very difficult for us to solve that problem. Whatever there is hunger in the land. This protest will not solve that problem. That is my belief. We don't, if we protest, that's not the way to go. The way to go is to engage government to say, these are the ways that we think things should be resolved. And then government will be able to take that into consideration or explain things that they're doing, and there will be better engagement between the people or the representative of the people and government. But protest will not help anybody. It will not help anybody. Some people, whether you like it or not, will hijack it and use it for their own selfish means.
Put simply, busy, the Kogi example is something states should copy.
It's not something that is naturally copied. It's not something that you will copy overnight. I also think that it's something that you nurture.
There is nothing to even copy there.
Over time, because it's even long. It's long, and we don't have the time. But I think for me, the major issue here is that people have demonstrated their discontentment with what they are going through, And I think that is legitimate. We have accepted that. And I also think that even in the midst of the hardship, also, governments will need to do some other urgent things to address this situation. Yes, I agree. I agree with him about all the things that are going on. Why we cannot even blame one government that is trying to reorder things that have gone wrong. But you see, you can also not deny the fact that in reordering also, that reordering, for example, what Nigerians are saying is that it has to be complete. And affect the lawmakers, the political class, because the people cannot continue to make sacrifices at the expense of the political class. That is very important, and I think it's an important message that people are trying to pass across.
In fact, a wise man once said, if you are in a hole, stop digging.
Yes, I agree. What Doc is saying is that our political leadership has been unfair to the Nigerian people. We discuss it here on another time to say that you are expecting people to make sacrifices, but you are not making the sacrifices. Remember when we discussed it and I said, I feel embarrassed about what they are doing in the National Assembly, the kind of salaries they collect, the kind of allowances they collect. They will sit down and buy vehicles for themselves when they know that we cannot afford things like that. So even in the presidency, they have to cut cost of governance. We should not be discussing now about buying a new plane or things. I agree. So also the political class should also know that the only way they can convince the Nigerian people to make the kind of sacrifices needed for us to get out of this hole is for them to be seen to be also making such sacrifices. They cannot be living as if we don't have problem. That's why I said we like to deceive ourselves. We are now a very poor nation. But we still want to delude ourselves that we're a rich nation. We are a poor nation. So that must show in every sphere of government, including our leaders, including people in the National Assembly. They cannot be living high life and living large, and you say that we are poor. How do you expect Nigerian people to accept that? So all of us must make sacrifices. But right now, both people in leadership and the citizenry, we must make sacrifices.
Dr. Deji Folutile, Zebediah. He said, I have seen 99, it will be 100. We don't need to see 100.
Honestly.
Well, we have seen more than 99.
I think nobody is interested in seeing 100. Because even for countries that have seen this, we saw what happened in Kenya. And we saw the implication of all of this. And
but they are regretting it.
Even from our own experiences in Nigeria, we know that protests, they don't end well. So it's not something that any government or anybody should wait till it consumes things before it is finished.
In short, as we have agreed, we need a Nigerian solution to this problem.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So not PDP, APC, LP, or ABGA.
No.
We need a Nigerian solution because the paradox is the problem is here, the answer is also here.